welcome to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 408, and today's date is July 5th, 2014, and the title of this episode is The Current Economic Collapse News Brief for this Saturday. And as we know, we see China, we see Russia, and many other countries making deals where they're going to bypass the dollar. And of course, the French National Bank, Christian Noyer, is really pushing this. He's saying that the United States has accelerated the demise of the dollar, and Noyer pretty much says increased legal risk from the application of U.S. rules to all dollar transactions around the world will encourage a diversification from the dollar. A movement to diversify the currencies used in international trade is inevitable. Trade between Europe and China does not need to use the dollar and may be read and fully paid in euros or renminbi. We must not forget that it took decades after the United States became the world's largest economy for the dollar to replace the British pound as the first international currency. But the phenomenon of U.S. rules expanding to all USD-denominated transactions around the world can have an accelerating effect, and we see this happening all over the place. We see FATCA, where all banks have to comply and countries have to comply with the international IRS now, and this is really accelerating. Plus, we have to understand that many of the countries are losing faith in the dollar. They're taking precautions, making sure they're hedging their bet from when the dollar does collapse. And we can see this happening all across the globe at this time. And we have to see that Spain right now is going after the people's bank deposits. What they decided to do was issue a retroactive 3% tax on bank deposits. Pretty much they're bailing themselves in. So Spain will retroactively tax bank accounts to January 1st, 2014, stating the move will boost growth and job creation. This is absolutely ridiculous. So they're going to take the money right now, 3% of whatever you have deposited in the banks. And more than a tax, this looks like a mini seizure of deposits. So it looks like they're short some money. Somebody has to balance the books or something, and they need to collect this money. So they said, you know what? We're just going to go in and tax the money in everyone's account. We'll just take 3%. Well, isn't this what Cyprus did? Didn't they say, oh, we're only going to take 8 to 10% in the beginning? And then they took 47%? You can call it whatever you want. You can call it a tax. You can call it a bail-in. You're taking the people's money, and this is how it starts. And this will not boost the economy. This will help the banks out. This will not increase job growth. People will be losing money from their bank accounts. And the next time they'll say, okay, this time we're raising the taxes to 10%, then 15%. When does it stop? Plus, you already pay taxes on the money. Most of the people pay taxes already on the money that you put into your account. And this is really not a tax. This is stealing the money from the accounts. These are bail-ins, and it has begun. So we can see already that the United States has accelerated the demise of the dollar by pushing more and more rules and regulations across the world, and the rest of the countries are saying, you know what, we just had enough of this. And we can see already the bail-ins are starting. Now, we understand that the children that are coming across the border down in Texas and along the southern states is increasing. Right now, the vast majority of 50,000 unaccompanied youths and children have illegally crossed the Texas border during the last few months and have been successfully delivered by federal agencies to their relatives in the United States. And a New York Times article reported that they revealed that officials have caught an additional 240,000 Central American migrants since April, and they are being transported to all different destinations around the United States. This has been planned for quite a while, and we can see they are really pushing this agenda, bringing in more and more people. They don't care about the process. They don't care about screening them for health problems. And right now there is a notice going out to the Border Patrol that they have to wear masks. They have to take off their clothes as soon as they are in contact with any of these children because they are carrying diseases, and they're doing no background checks, and we can see this whole thing has been planned since the beginning. Now, in Afghanistan, we see that there were 400 NATO-supplying oil tankers pretty much attacked and blown up, and now they're all on fire. The first question is, why are there 400 NATO oil tankers all clustered together? That makes no sense. And this looks like this is a complete setup to show that terrorism is running rampant within Afghanistan. They've just attacked a NATO supplying oil tankers, and we can see right now how NATO, the United States, will say we need to stay in Afghanistan. Things are getting worse. They actually attacked NATO, and we can see how they can play this up completely. Now, we understand the United States is having a drill in the Black Sea, and now Russia is having the same type of drill at the same exact time. Hopefully nothing goes wrong there where something accidentally fires off, hits something, someone blames someone else. But we see that 20 warships and over 20 planes and helicopters, as well as Marines and Coast Artillery, are taking part in the Black Sea Fleet exercise. Of course, we understand that the United States, NATO, they're having these sea breeze military drills, which is happening at the same time. Both sides are flexing their muscles and just showing off what they have. Hopefully nothing happens where it breaks out into some type of skirmish. Now, there's a new law in Russia where it's banning its citizens, where they're placing their personal data on foreign servers. They want to keep everything within Russia right now. All internet companies collecting personal information from Russia's citizens are obliged to store their data inside the country according to a new law. The bill was proposed from after some Russian MPs deemed it unwise that the bulk of Russian online personal data is held on foreign servers, mostly the U.S. Pretty much this is coming about because of the sanctions. They don't want all the information from the Russian people all over the place on U.S. servers. This way the NSA can access them very easily. They want to keep them all contained within Russia, and they're trying to pretty much pass this bill right now. And it goes on to say that the security of Russians' personal data is one of the basic rights that should be protected. And of course, every single country is very nervous because the NSA has its hands in pretty much in every single piece of software, in hardware, and they have back doors that have been opened up by these companies. So the NSA is spying all over the place, and countries are rushing to disassociate themselves with any type of American-made product because they're afraid of being spied on. Now, it looks like NATO is going to set up a strategic communication center in Latvia. Officials of Latvia, Estonia, Italy, Lithuania, Poland, Britain, and Germany have signed a memorandum on setting up NATO's Center for Strategic Communications. Strategic communications play an important role in achieving NATO's political and military objectives. Basically, they are setting up a propaganda type of outlet, and this is exactly what they're trying to do, is to fill and send out propaganda from this area. Now, it looks like the people of Slavansk lost the battle in the area, because right now Poroshenko is ordering troops to raise Ukrainian flag. Ukrainian President Poroshenko has ordered his troops to raise the Ukrainian flag in Slavansk, and it looks like Slavansk people are moving off, and it looks like they have taken control of this area. And now the people of Slavansk are making an urgent appeal, and here's some of what they're saying, and they made this on July 4th. I would like to make a short statement with respect to what is happening around Slavansk, with respect to what is happening here, and, well, to make an appeal, if you will. Yesterday, the enemy completely surrounded Nikolaevka. The enemy shelled the city in the fiercest possible way, using all types of weapons, using heavy MLRs, systems, howitzers, mortars, tanks, APCs. The destruction is enormous. It is simply impossible to determine the number of casualties because nothing works in the city now. To put it bluntly, we are dealing here with unconcealed genocide. In other words, to break the resistance of the militia, the enemy is using all the available types of weaponry against the civilian population. If Russia is not able to secure an immediate termination of fire and the execution of truce, or if it does not step in with its armed forces to protect us, to protect the Russian people that reside here, who are a part of the Russian nation, we will be exterminated. We will continue to fight, but we desperately need help. And of course, Poroshenko is hitting them with everything they get. They want Putin to step in. They want him to come across the border. They are provoking him. And at the same time, they're trying to take back the country and bring these people into the fold of the puppet regime and arrest those leaders. And they're doing and using everything they possibly can to push Putin into coming in, to say, look, he is invading Ukraine. Now, we understand in the Middle East, especially in Iraq, things are just out of control. We see ISIS, ISIL, the Islamic State, whatever you like to call them. I'll just call them terrorists, controlled by the United States government, Israel, and other Arab nations. And right now, what is happening is they're making their moves, and we see there was a video of the Baghdadi making a call out to all Muslims to, wage jihad on everyone. And of course, this just seems like this is all written out. It seems like it's some type of television show, how they're continually showing all the pictures. They're really playing this up to suck you in and make you believe that this is a real terrorist organization, and they're just doing all this. And we know this is being controlled by the United States government and the central bankers. And right now, Maliki and his advisors are saying that, we should actually eject the military advisors from the United States out of the country. In a statement today, the agency received all Iraq a copy of it, that the United States will fail the Iraqi government and stand with the organization the terrorists indirectly for the implementation of its project to change the map of the region according to their interests. So we draw our call to the commander of the armed forces, need to eject U.S. advisors and not to listen to their advice, because they came for the implementation of their project. So they're catching on, and they're starting to realize, we know who's controlling this. We know what they are up to. And of course, we all know what they're up to. Now, the Iraqi government is saying that video that was put out by Baghdadi is a fake. It's falsified. It's not real. They're saying that the footage posted on the internet on Saturday, allegedly showing Baghdadi at Mosul's Grand Mosque, was indisputably not him. And they say they have analyzed the footage, and it is a complete fake and phony. And what's very interesting about this is that on July 4th, the Syrian armed forces, and this is a report that's coming in, the operation took place between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. The Syrian army jets flew over Raqqa at a low altitude in waves, repeatedly breaking the sound barrier and creating a real panic situation, forcing the terrorists into underground shelters. At 2 a.m., the first attack occurs at ISIS headquarters. Transport helicopters then landed. The entire special units under the command of several Syrian senior officers started to move in. Sources at the military intelligence services knew that an important meeting of ISIS commanders at highest level took place in these areas. The special units of the SAA approached the headquarters, and covered by the roar of jets circling above, they attacked with surprise, and they've captured many of the high-ranking commanders. They're thinking that they do have Baghdadi also. They're not confirming it. They're not releasing the names as of yet of who they have captured at this time. So it's very strange that this video came out during this period when their raid was going on, and we can see that, they're using the propaganda to show that Baghdadi is calling for everyone to join in, beefing up the terrorism across the world, and this is exactly what the United States central bankers want to do. They want to push this agenda, and you have to remember the only way to get into this area, because again, the people of the United States do not want war whatsoever. Congress has a very low approval rating. They're trying to push the terrorist angle, and they will bring an event here to the United States. And it looks like They are doing everything they possibly can. Now, out in the UK, it looks like thousands of Barclay and Nationwide customers were hit by some type of IT glitch. And it seems like they have quite a few of these glitches, because you have to remember back in December, they had another one where 750,000 NatWest and RBS and Ulster Bank customers could not use their debit cards. But right now, thousands of frustrated bank customers found themselves unable to access their money yesterday after the latest in a series of computer glitches. The IT problem affected Barclays and Nationwide, which together serve nearly 30 million people in the UK. Angry consumers complained they couldn't pay mortgage bills, they can't transfer funds, they couldn't pay for groceries, they couldn't take money out, and this is exactly what we're going to see when the entire system is cyber attacked and the banks are closed down. Look how these people are complaining about one day. Can you imagine this going on for a long period of time where people aren't ready for what is coming? Now, let's say this was a complete cyber attack and the whole system came down in UK. All of these people had no money. They are not prepared. The same thing here in the United States. Most of the population has nothing on them. Everything is done with plastic. This is why you need to keep gold, silver, cash on hand. You need to have food. You need to have water. This is a perfect example. Now, we understand that in Mexico there is a lot of radioactive material that's being stolen. It looks like they've found the truck, the hijacked truck found in Mexico, and the container, but there are still more radioactive devices missing in Mexico. Nobody knows where they are, and again, this could be used to create a dirty nuke here in the United States. And again, we have to remember the United States government central bankers have been building up for this event, and information has just come out that says that the U.S. government now is supplying the radical Islamist group, ISIS, ISIL, the terrorists, with software that they can use to plan terrorist attacks. And the United States government, the central bankers, the Office for the Syrian Opposition is providing this terrorist group with the software. Now, where do you think they got it from? And they could use this because it's going to enhance their communication systems. They're able to get into the net anonymously, and it seems like they are making preparations and building this up to attack the United States. And of course, we know it's not really the terrorists doing it. It's coming from inside the United States with the central bankers, because they need to get a war started to cover this collapse. And you can see all the pieces now are starting to come together, and things are really starting to accelerate as we move throughout this year, because the illusion is separating from the reality of what's happening in the economy, and we can see right now that things are starting to really ramp up. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.